In the video Timber Frame 1, I explained about my medieval half-timbered house and showed the first experimental steps of restoring its wooden structure. The static and technical problems are getting worse with the next steps because I started on easy things. I will have to repair more seriously damaged parts now. 600 years are a pretty long time in which many generations have made changes to the house, obviously without caring much about its stability. They took out what I'm marking here to have a driveway to the workshop. At some point they must have realized that the construction above was coming down, so they replaced the central beam by two steel beams. Unfortunately, they weren't strong enough and bowed about 10 centimeters out of the straight line in the middle. To make it even worse, they decided to have a bigger staircase and cut the rest of the beam in half, leaving the middle of the northern wall without any horizontal stabilization. To regain stability, I will have to make a lot of things new. In this video, I will start with the staircase problem. You can see here the rest of the original beam on the left and a tiny little part of it flush with the wall above the post. First, I had to take the load away from the post. The short rest of the horizontal beam is still protruding from the wall. This was necessary to have a proper mortise on its bottom and an indentation to hold the plate above it on its top. The post has seen a lot of cruel treatment to hold the plaster and is totally rotten at its base. 30% of it are already missing. Before I was able to separate the two pieces, I had to remove a wooden nail that I had overlooked at first. Mortise and tenon joints only have nails in rare cases, and I haven't figured out yet why they locked the joints sometimes, but mostly not. The small part clearly shows where the top plate within the wall rested on it. The ridge here was even pressed down a bit by the force. The protruding part is rounded on the bottom edge. That's a traditional thing. I copied everything on a 28 cm by 23 cm spruce beam. Now I had to cut the old beam into the right shape. The joint between new and old is going to be a lap joint with tapered halves. It would have been much easier to make the whole thing new, but I wanted to try out this method. I will need it a lot in the second floor. Fitting in such a big piece is not easy, and I couldn't get the lap joint as tight as I had intended. But at least the joint with the top plate in the wall fitted perfect. The lap joint is fixed by dowels and it's pressed together by a threaded rod, an unnecessary thing if the tapered flanges of the joints would fit perfectly. Now the post has to be cut. My bandsaw mill is really useful here because I can choose the dimensions on the spot. The wood has been cut a year ago and certainly isn't dry yet, so it will get some cracks afterwards. But that doesn't matter, as the original beams once weren't pre-dried either. Here the new post is an exact copy of the historic one. Even if this wasn't complete anymore, I was able to measure or deduce all relevant data. Finally the post was in place. Then the inward brace was prepared. If one side of a brace is already fitted in, While the other side isn't carved out, it is easy to mark where this other joint has to be made. Most of these braces are part of a wall, but some of them, like this one, are hanging free. Now this important point is properly supported and horizontally fixed again.